Discipline in Schools, Part 2. At the end of each school year, discipline information is reported to the Office of Special Education Services at the state level, or OSIS. Specifically, OSIS is interested in learning how many students with disabilities have been suspended to determine the suspension rates for students with disabilities in our district. This is reported as a percentage. This number is also compared to the average percentage reported across the state. The State Department also gathers information concerning how many days of suspension a student receives for each incident to determine if students with disabilities receive more suspension days for similar incidents. OSIS also compares this information to information reported for students without disabilities. If a significant disproportionality is found, then the district receives formal documentation of the significant disproportionality. The district must complete an assessment of policies and procedures to determine why the difference occurred. Then the district must implement an intervention plan to address the issue. When a student receives a cumulative total of 5 suspension days, the administrator should contact the special ed team leader. The special ed team leader should schedule an IEP meeting with the school psychologist to either modify the behavior intervention plan or determine if a functional behavior analysis or FBA is needed. If an FBA is requested, the school psychologist must obtain written permission from the parent and complete the FBA. Once completed, the IEP team must hold a second meeting to discuss the results and update the BIP. Some students might reach a total of 10 suspension days throughout the school year. Once a student has been suspended for more than a cumulative total of 10 suspension days, this is considered a long-term removal, even when the days are not consecutive. Before the 11th day of suspension, the administrator must provide a copy of the Notice of Procedural Safeguards or the Parent Handbook of Special Education. A manifestation determination IEP meeting is required to determine if the behaviors are a manifestation of the student's disability. Contact the school psychologist and the special ed team lead immediately to schedule this meeting. The manifestation determination meeting should occur before the 11th day of suspension in order to ensure that services are provided on the 11th day. If the meeting does not occur before the 11th day, then compensatory services will be owed. The team leader uses the Add Action function to add the manifestation determination form. The notice of meeting is completed within the manifestation form. The team leader completes information relating to the FIBA and the BIP. This may include several dates: the date the BIP was developed, the date the BIP was implemented, the date the BIP was modified, an explanation of the changes made to the BIP during the last BIP review meeting, and whether or not the BIP has a crisis plan. The school psychologist completes the incident information by copying the incident information listed in PowerSchool. 2 questions are asked during the manifestation determination meeting. The first question is, was the conduct in question caused by or directly and substantially related to the student's disability? The second question is, was the conduct in question a direct result of the LEA's failure to implement the IEP? This question also refers to any related plans associated with the IEP, such as the Behavior Intervention Plan. LEA refers to the local educational agency or the school. If at least one of the questions is determined to be true, then the behaviors are determined to be a manifestation of the student's disability. The student returns to the school and the suspension does not occur past the meeting date. If both questions are marked no, then the behaviors are not a manifestation of the student's disability. The suspension can continue. compensatory special education services are provided, and the student returns to school after the suspension is over. Or the recommendation for expulsion continues and a hearing is scheduled. The hearing date and time are indicated on the manifestation determination paperwork. Following the first manifestation meeting, a manifestation meeting will be required for every incident that results in suspension for the remainder of the school year. This occurs until August of the next school year. The student begins each school year with a clean slate. The 10-day rule does not reset until August of the next school year. Students cannot be suspended for more than 10 days for one incident, or more than 30 days in any one school year. This applies to both general education students and special education students. The administrator is responsible for notifying the parent in writing regarding the time, place, and date of the hearing. The hearing includes the parent, the student, the director of special education, the principal, and the hearing officer. In our district, the superintendent serves as the hearing officer. The principal reviews the infraction or incident and the recommendation. The director reviews the team's determination during the manifestation meeting. The hearing officer has 7 days to make a recommendation to the IEP team. Most often, the recommendation is one of the following: expulsion for the semester, expulsion for the school year, permanent expulsion, or an alternative instructional setting. A unilateral decision cannot be made regarding disciplinary actions that result in a recommendation for expulsion. A parent or student may appeal the recommendation in writing to the superintendent. They also might request a due process hearing under a hearing officer trained by the South Carolina Department of Education. An IEP meeting will be held immediately following the hearing to review the recommendation from the hearing officer. The IEP team will make an official decision, and the IEP team will determine appropriate services. Whether or not the student is expelled, the district is responsible for providing special education services. The IEP team determines where and when those services are provided. This might include services off campus or services through a virtual format. The team leader is typically responsible for providing these services. However, a different special education team member with the same certification may provide the services if the team leader cannot. Please direct any questions to Sandy Jones.